Pierre, what's new, man?
Nothing much, man. Trying to keep up with the time. Feel like everything going by so fast. We already at the All-Star break pretty much. Before you know it, it'll be the playoffs, and then we'll be asking each other where we sitting at for the summer league. So just trying to keep up with the time and take it one day as possible, even though it feel like every week is like another month going by. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, just being in the grind.
Speaking of keeping up with the times, it's a disaster in Golden State. Do you believe Steph Curry will finish his career with the Warriors?
Yeah, no doubter. He'll finish his career with the Warriors, as he should. I respect it. I like the one team thing. He's done so much, not just for the organization, but for the city. I always talk about, when I was growing up, how like irrelevant the Warriors were, and to see them become the most popular team in the 2020s and have the dynasty, and even knowing who he was as a prospect and a college player, to see him turn out to be, arguably one of the, if not the greatest point guard of all time and the greatest shooter. The legacy is there for him to stay. I just wish him and the Warriors went about things a little differently. I wish they put all of their eggs in the basket of serving Steph Curry until he is no longer there. So it kind of frustrates me to hear them be so hesitant to use all of the assets that they have to try to improve this team, because he should be put in a position to where he can compete until he exits the game. And that doesn't mean he has to win a championship, but just to put the team in the best state and give them the best opportunity. I want to see them do that more. And you've seen reports where it's like they don't know if they want to invest their future draft capital and all of those things, the way that they handled the James Wiseman pick and the Moses Moody and Jonathan Kumingas. I just wish they handled their assets a little better to fully invest into Steph. And I also wish Steph used his legacy and his pool of being the greatest Warrior of all time to nudge them in certain directions every once in a while. But to answer your question, yeah, I do think he will retire there.
To your point, don't you think it'll be a challenge for him to play meaningless basketball for another 3 or 4 years? Because I think he got that much good basketball left in him.
Will it be a challenge? I mean, yeah, it's always going to be a challenge to not, be on that stage when you have been so used to and accustomed to being on that stage. And you're one of the guys that show that you can deliver. But is it going to be that much of a challenge to leave it? Nah. I don't see Steph. Where is he going to go? What does that look like? What does that do for him? He already has X amount of rings, and I think those rings hold value because he's in Golden State.
Charlotte, back home with Klay Thompson with a layup package, Concanuple.
Yeah, you might as well stay in Golden State. Shout out to Charlotte, but I just don't see him going there and they're a championship team. They're a little bit better than the Warriors, maybe, potentially, but yeah, this ain't 2K, it's real life.
How do you feel about them? It feels like they are building around Khan at this point, right?
I wouldn't say that they're building around Khan. Here's a rookie, so it's hard to say that they're building around him. We haven't seen that yet, but they're building a foundation. I know that. I was just out in Charlotte with the Hornets, and I love everything about what they're doing.
10-day contract, right? 10-day?
Yeah.
Okay, I see you.
They're dope, though. They're dope. I think they're headed into the right direction. I think that's mostly what their goal is and should have been. I don't think they need to really try to figure out who they're building around. They have LaMelo, they have Khan, they have Brandon Miller. Let's keep these guys healthy, and let's continue to do what we did last draft, which was get a guy that can play, a part of those two pieces, alongside those two pieces. But more so, to me, what they've done better than even just getting Khan, which has been a phenomenal pick, but the outside edges of getting Ryan Kalkbrenner, getting Sion James and Liam McNeely, those pickups have been extremely good for them. And I think as long as they go that direction where they're able to get not only those building blocks but the surrounding pieces, they're going to be a really good team, in the next couple of years. It's just about staying healthy. You even see that. They've had games on the back-to-backs where LaMelo comes off the bench so they can manage his minutes better, to not put too much on his body because we know the injury history. I love the direction of the Hornets. They're going to be in the playoff conversation soon, and I'm hoping that they can get in the play-in this year.
Yeah. It's interesting, these players with their trade value with, Trey. We saw him go for Kispert and the aging C.J. McCollum. LaMelo doesn't seem to have as much trade value as you would think. John Morant, who I've called a generational talent. I think it's too crazy. Like, I think it's media's fault, bro. I think they don't realize how talented these guys really are. And about 1 or 2 years from now, we're going to be looking up at least one of them, and they're going to be on a contender, helping a contender.
What makes you say it's the media's fault?
Because the media falls in love with finding the guy that is not super talented, but could really help winning basketball. And they love that. Like, the media loves Herb Jones. Herb Jones is great, but they probably overrate guys like Herb Jones and underrate guys like LaMelo, Trey, and Ja.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I can see a little bit. I think the thing is, we entered a time where I've said it for years. I think people value role players more. Sometimes they can overrate role players, but I think even now, when we look at the apron things that have been implemented into the salary cap, you have to kind of over analyze or overrate role players because you need them so much more significantly. I think that's the real issue. I don't think it's a talent standpoint with those guys. I think it's the investment part. So when you go out and you get a Trae Young, you get a LaMelo Ball, you get a Ja Morant, you're talking at a $40 million minimum.
Yeah.
You're not getting them per year basis below $40 million. And even $40 million for some of those guys would be a bargain. Then when you start to talk about the ability to be on the floor, two of those guys, Ja Morant and LaMelo Ball, over the last 4 years have missed significant amount of time. So when you're paying a guy 40, 50, 60 million dollars a year, you then have to be able to be on the floor. You then have to be able to play with other talent to play winning basketball. And I think those are some of the things. Teams and executives and team building is a little bit more strategic, where back in the day, I think it was just about having high level talent and just figuring out the rest later. Now, because we've seen so many investments go the wrong way and it can kind of mess up the future of your team, you gotta think twice. You gotta really, consider if that move is worth it. And I think that's where it comes in. I think people know Ja Morant is ultra talented, but are you going to gut your future of giving multiple first round picks, giving up young talent, and making salary match to bring Ja Morant into a situation where he has not been healthy over the last few years? Even this year, he's banged up again. LaMelo Ball, Trae Young was banged up this year. And I think the Wizards did a really good job. And that's my question. No matter what the media is saying, no matter what the NBA is saying, when you have when you're a team that doesn't have the luxury of going into the market, why wouldn't the Wizards have made that trade? I'm looking at other teams like, hey, why aren't some of y'all trying to get a Ja Morant if his value is that low?
Of course they should have made that trade.
Yeah, so it's like, that's what I look at. I don't look at the media.
People think it's a bad trade for the Wizards?
I haven't seen anybody say that, but
okay, I'm about to say.
I just, like, as soon as you heard Trae Young on the market, and you heard, if you're a team if you're somebody who's running a team and you heard that he has no value or little to no value, round of applause for the Wizards, because that's not a free agency destination.
100%.
Their young talent needs a floor leader. He can make them better. And they went and got him for the price of an aging, like you said, aging C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert without giving up any draft capital. There are some other teams around the league that should be looking internally at themselves like, why didn't we jump on that?
This guy has proven to be a winning player in the playoffs and be super clutch on top of that. And
the crazy thing about that to me, Combo, and I ask this to my guys, people are so... The fine line is so funny to see, because I agree with what you just said. He has proved that he can win in his league and play at a high level and carry a team. He's proved that. You'll hear about a player shortcomings, and that shit'll last forever. A player will have a choke job or not have a really good series, and people will hold on to that for a decade. A guy like Trae Young will have a moment like he did those years ago, and people will say, oh, but that was 4 years ago. That was 5 years ago. But you'll bring up Paul George and they'll talk about what he did in the bubble as if that wasn't 6 years ago. So it's like, it's funny to see how people, it's like a contradiction. If it's negative and it's bad, it's a longer lifespan. They still talk about James Harden isn't clutch. He isn't this, he isn't that. They'll bring up stats in series that happened 7 years ago. But then you'll talk about Trae. You'll be like, why people don't like Trae, man? He led a team to the Eastern Conference Final. Oh, man, that was 4 years ago. It's always funny, that conversation where it's like, if you do something negative or if you have a bad moment it has a longer lifespan. But if you do something positive, it's like, but that was it's so inconsistent in that conversation when you see it in the media and in social media, and it's head scratching to me. But I was just like you, Combo, where I'm like, he proved that he could do that, and that has to count for something. It counts to something for me. Does he have deficiencies in his game and things that comes with him? For sure. But when you are a market and a team like Washington, my aunt used to tell me all the time, beggars can't be choosers. They're never going to get a talent like that for that price. So I loved it for the Wizards, and I think more teams around the league should inquire about guys like LaMelo and Ja Morant if the price is going to be that low.
Don't get me started on the James Harden stuff, because I believe he's one of the most influential players this league has ever seen. I mean, people talk about Steph Curry's influence. You see everybody got some kind of Euro. You see everybody got some kind of step back, even Wemby. You know, you see it from everybody.
Yeah, James Harden I think that's the word. You know, people try to figure out his legacy, and obviously he hasn't won a championship yet and different things like that. But when you talk about that word influence, James Harden is at the top of the list. And just his career, he has a transcendent career, being a guy that was a sixth man of the year and also an MVP, and to see him, have a moment where he kind of was buying into a team concept. We had an MVP player buying into a team concept coming off the bench, and the minute he got his opportunity to break away, it didn't take James 4 years to figure out how to be a number one option. He got to Houston immediately and got to it. And so I think they're going to appreciate his career a lot more when it's all said and done.
Yeah, we mentioned, Ja, LaMelo, and Trey. Is it fair to say that Zion has more trade value than all of them at this point?
No,
really?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not here to say that he has lower, but like just based off the reports and information that I've heard, it ain't like he got 30 teams lining up for him either. It ain't like he's going for multiple first round picks either.
I do think he could get more than a Corey Kispert and an aging CJ McCollum, especially the way he's been playing lately.
Oh, well, I mean, in comparison to Trey, yeah. I was thinking more LaMelo and Ja.
Yeah. But also that, like, Trey, like, the guy Andy Katz said that Cat has a Trey-like packages. They're totally different players, but that's the kind of value he has on the trade market right now. It's just crazy right now. And I think Zion does have a little bit more of that than from what I'm hearing. Also, he did really well against Wemby last night, which doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to get any lower than Trae Young as far as the value, because we actually seen his trade play out. And because that kind of set the market, I don't think any team is going to go below that. So Trey, I think, is bottom level. I don't think you trade Ja Morant and the Grizzlies allow themselves, especially seeing the reaction that the Hawks got. And you also have to remember, the context is the team situation. The Hawks felt comfortable doing that because they have the Pelicans pick. They have an emerging Jalen Johnson, and both of those guys are going to come off the books. Well, CJ McCollum and Kristaps Porzingis will come off the books, and that's two $30 million salaries. So the Hawks have a vision, but the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, the Hornets, I don't think that they are in a position to where they could make the move that the Hawks did, because they don't have the same level of assets. And Trae Young and the Hawks sat down together. So the Hawks was doing right by Trae Young as well by not dragging it out. I'm sure the Hawks looked at the deal and was probably like, damn, maybe we can just hold off and maybe we'll get more. But once he says he wants to go and it's best for y'all to go two separate ways, it's like, okay, just give us that and we'll just go about our business. Let's get the deal done. The sooner we trade him, the more we can focus in on what we do. We'll get this dark cloud from over the team, because it was so much rumors and everything. It's just like, let's get this done. Let's go our separate ways and we'll just go. Some of these other teams, they ain't thinking like that. They want their value and they want to get something back.
The Giannis thing is dragging.
Perfect example. Bro. Dragging to the point where it puts so much pressure on the team. It puts so much pressure on Giannis. It's the dominant conversation. They lose 4 games in a row. What's going on with Giannis? They win 4 games in a row. What does this mean about Giannis? It's just like nothing that they're going to be able to do will escape that dark cloud of the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And yeah, I don't even know what to think about it. One of my New Year's resolutions that I said on my show was I was going to stop giving, attention to every quote that Giannis gives us, because it kind of felt like patty cake. Then I had Bucks fans saying, no, it's the media. Giannis says one thing and then you'll get an article of mock trades, even though he's saying he want to stay. So it's like, you know what? Cool. Giannis said he want to stay. He said he's there. So he's there. The Bucks ain't a good team. I don't know what to think of it.
It's been too long. I think we've been doing this for like 2 years already, right?
We have, and I don't see. I just honestly, with my basketball brain, don't see a world where we will stop talking about it anytime soon. Because I don't see too many moves that they can make that flips this thing around. The only thing that you have on your side, if you're the Bucks, is the talent of Giannis Antetokounmpo. So maybe you can make a move to send Kuzma and Bobby Portis to go get a Zach LaVine or to go get one of these guys. And because Giannis is so good that when he's healthy, you add another really good shooter, another good scorer, and he can cover up a lot of the holes, and you can win 10 or 11 more games than you probably thought you would. But even then, if they go get Zach LaVine, I'm trying to think of other names they've been linked to. Hell, even if they went and got Ja Morant, does this become a championship team?
Yo, it's crazy. I feel like Zach LaVine is the guy that's delaying rebuilds. Like, that's his role now.
What do you mean?
Like, him and Russ go to the Kings. They can win some games. They can't really tank, but they're obviously
the
not.
Kings was doing that before he got there. I think that's just the staple of their the two teams that Zach LaVine last recently played for. I think it's more them than him. The Bulls don't got Zach LaVine anymore, and look where they at. They right there in that play-in spot. They not trying to tank and go get that top 5, top 3 overall pick. The Kings before Zach LaVine got there was the same way. Now they got Zach LaVine. Hell, some of these games.
But you do think the Bulls are in a better spot because they're younger, right? It does change things.
I don't think the Bulls are in a better spot. I think they're in the same exact spot, which is that's the head scratching part. To go into a rebuild, you have to fully press that button. They still have Vucevic. They gave all of that money to Patrick Williams. Billy Donovan is not a young player's coach, so he's still not letting Modest Buzelis fully off the leash. There are certain things that young teams do that the Bulls and the Kings haven't done. Now, the one thing that the Bulls have on their side is they do have Modest Buzelis. They do have Noah Senge, who's out for the year, but he is a lottery pick. They have Josh Giddey. The Kings, on the other hand, they have a roster full of guys that can win you games but can't win you enough. So it's bigger than Zach LaVine. They have DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Russell Westbrook, Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk. So, yeah, I think it's those teams themselves are stopping the rebuild more than Zach LaVine.
How you feeling about your Knicks?
I feel good about the Knicks, man. I feel real good. I'm not the typical Knicks fan, so I'm not, running around pulling my hair out because they have some bumps in the road. I'm understanding that that's part of the NBA. I mean, I'm looking at the Thunder. They've lost 2 games in a row, and before that, they had a little down streak. If the Thunder can have adversity moments in their season and they can have tough stretches, who are the Knicks to think that they can't have any moments in adversity? And I also expected this from the Knicks. New head coach. We have certain players on our team that don't bring a certain fight every game. This is a part of it. We got some things to figure out, but I'm still confident in them. And I'm hopeful that they can make some type of move at the deadline that can bring in some dog. It don't have to be a big move, but I'm really a big fan of like Najee Marshall. Bring a guy like that, a versatile guy who, again, can bring some energy and some dog because we need a little bit more of that. I think we're too laid back when you talk about our front-facing guys. Karl-Anthony Towns is more of a laid-back guy. Mikal, OG, these are very laid-back, soft-spoken guys. We need a little bit more of that Josh Hart, toughness.
If OG had the killer instinct, he might be an all-time great, bro. Like, he has everything.
Yeah, he's improved a lot, man.
Yeah.
To me, it's all about the playoffs as well. The regular season is such a long stretch of 82 games that you're bound to have some empty, dry moments. It can get long and exhausting for the players. So I'm not doing too much. Last year we did that, right? And that's why I'm surprised Knicks fans are reacting the way that they're doing now, because we had that moment last year where we couldn't beat a good team. And everybody talked about how the Knicks are winning this against all of the top teams. They can't be. And then we went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I vowed to myself that, hey, I'm going to analyze the regular season, but I'm going to not do too much and get too emotionally tied, because though the regular season has a cause and it has a reason and a purpose, it doesn't mean everything. Because if it meant everything, we wouldn't have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So, and then it's also, again, new coach, new system, adjustments. These are things that you should expect. And I know everybody hasn't played sports and been a part of teams and all of that. They can't think of the background things, but I think the Knicks are really good where they at. And as long as we take care of business, we're a tough team to beat in 7 games when we start talking about playoffs.
How would you grade Mikal Bridges' season?
I think Mikal Bridges is having like an A season. I think he's been really, really good. I love the role that Mike Brown put him in to kind of initiate offense more and to take some of that pressure off of Jalen Brunson. I think that's going to show up a lot more in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges is also a guy who, for whatever reason, he's like our Dante DiVincenzo of this team, where like when the game is tight and if it's going to be in somebody's hands outside of Brunson, catch and shoot type 3, or Mitchell Robinson gets one of those offensive rebounds and the defense is in a scramble now and they can't match up quickly, when he gets that ball on a catch and shoot 3-point opportunity, I feel super confident. I feel like he's going to make it all the time. And that's how I felt years ago when we had Dante DiVincenzo, where it's like Mitchell Robinson get an offensive rebound, he kick it out to one of those guys, it's almost a guaranteed bucket. And so I love the season Mikal is having. Want him to turn it up a little bit more defensively, but I love everything he's been giving us offensively.
You mentioned DiVincenzo. I like the idea of just bringing all the Nova guys to the Knicks. You know, go get DiVincenzo. Go get Sadiq Bey. Colin Gillespie. Yo, he's good, man.
Hooping. Yeah,
he's good. Can the Knicks get some of those guys at the trade deadline?
Hell no, we can't. Those guys are expensive now. And
yeah.
That's the league is all about, to get, you got to give. And I think the prices of all of those guys you named are a little high. Gillespie ain't going nowhere with the Suns. They need the guard play.
Yeah, he's probably on a great contract for them anyway, right?
Yeah. Should be on a steal of a contract.
I know a lot. Like, I saw him in summer league. I didn't think he'd be this good. Like, I thought he could be solid, but I was like, ooh, he's tough.
Yeah. And then Dante DiVincenzo is having one of his best years, so I don't think he's going anywhere for the Timberwolves either. So, yeah. Najee Marshall, Jose Alvarado, Keon Ellis. I think those are the guys that I've seen us kind of linked with. I haven't seen us with any of the Nova guys. Shout out to Jay Wright, though. Says a lot about him for all of those guys to be successful. And then Sadiq Bey. I don't think Sadiq Bey is getting traded. Sadiq Bey was brought in to New Orleans by the people who drafted him in Detroit, Weaver, Dumars. So that's their guy. So
yeah.
I was going to say it publicly, but I won't.
All right, we'll say it right now. Talk soon, bro.